The year was 2157. Humans had spread throughout the solar system. They had colonies on Mars and Europa, and mining operations across the asteroid belt. Earth was still the center of human civilization, but the different spacefaring nations were starting to argue more. Commander Olivia Martinez looked out the main window of the UES Discovery. She was proud of her ship and crew. The United Earth Defense Fleet had given her this research vessel because of her excellent record. Martinez had been in space for 15 years. She was tall, with short black hair that was starting to show gray at the temples. Her dark eyes missed very little. "Commander, we're approaching the coordinates," said Daniel Wright, her chief science officer. Wright was younger than Martinez. He had joined the crew 3 years ago after finishing top of his class at the academy. He pushed his glasses up and pointed at the screen. "The signal is getting stronger," Martinez nodded. "Susan, any change in the transmission?" Susan Garcia, the communications specialist, shook her head. Her fingers moved quickly over her console. "Still the same pattern, Commander. Definitely artificial. Definitely not one of ours." Kevin Porter, the security officer, stood near the door with his arms crossed. He was a large man with a serious face. "I still think we should have brought more ships," he said quietly. "And scare away whoever sent this signal?" Martinez smiled at him. "We're here to make friends, Porter." "Friends don't always want to be friends back," Porter answered, but he smiled too. The Discovery had been sent to investigate a strange signal coming from near Neptune. No human ships were supposed to be in this area. The signal didn't match any known pattern. "I have visual," Wright called out, putting it on the main screen. Everyone on the bridge went silent. The image showed a massive ship, at least 10 times, larger than the Discovery. It was smooth and silver with strange blue lights pulsing along its hull. "That's not one of ours," Garcia whispered. Porter moved closer to the commander. His hand moved to his weapon. "Hold position," Martinez ordered. "Susan, send the first contact greeting package on all frequencies." For 20 tense minutes, nothing happened. Then Garcia's console lit up. "Commander, they're responding. I'm getting..." "It seems like they're sending a translation matrix. They're trying to communicate." Martinez felt her heart beat faster. This was a historic moment. "Put it through." A voice came through the speakers. It sounded almost human, but with a strange musical quality. "Greetings, vessel of Earth. We are the Vosher Collective. We have been observing your species with great interest." Martinez stepped forward. "This is Commander Olivia Martinez of the United Earth Defense Fleet vessel Discovery. We come in peace and friendship." "As do we, Commander Martinez. We have studied your language and customs. Would you permit a delegation to board your vessel for direct communication?" Martinez looked at Porter, who frowned but nodded slightly. "We would be honored," Martinez replied. "Please send docking instructions for your shuttle." 3 hours later, Martinez stood in the Discovery's meeting room with Wright, Garcia, and Porter. The door opened, and 3 beings entered. They were tall, nearly 7 feet, with slim bodies. Their skin shimmered with colors like an oil slick on water. Each had 4 arms that moved with perfect grace. Their faces were almost human, with large dark eyes that never seemed to blink. "I am Speaker Zrel," said the one in front. "We thank you for your welcome." Martinez stepped forward. "Welcome aboard the Discovery. I am Commander Martinez. This is Chief Science Officer Wright, Communications Specialist Garcia, and Security Officer Porter." The meeting started well. The Voshier explained they were part of a large interstellar community. They had noticed human radio signals decades ago and had been watching Earth's development since then. "Your species advances quickly," Speaker Zrel said. "In mere centuries, you went from primitive flight to interplanetary travel. Most species take millennia to progress so far." Wright asked many questions about Voshier science and culture. The online aliens answered freely, showing images of their homeworld on a small device. It was a beautiful planet with 3 moons and strange spiraling cities. After 2 hours of friendly conversation, Martinez asked, "Would it be possible to establish formal diplomatic relations? Perhaps a human delegation could visit your homeworld?" The Mood in the room changed instantly. The Voshier looked at each other. Speaker Zarel's skin changed from blue-green to a dark purple. "I believe we have learned enough," Zarel said coldly. Before anyone could react, all three aliens touched devices on their wrists. The lights on the Discovery flickered and died. Emergency. Lighting came on, bathing everything in red. "What have you done?" Martinez demanded. "Your ship's systems have been temporarily disabled," Zarel explained. "Do not be alarmed. You will not be harmed if you cooperate." Garcia gasped, pointing out the window. Two more large Voshier ships had appeared where empty space had been moments before. "Your species shows promise but lacks discipline," Zarel continued. "You will serve as test subjects. Those who survive will become useful additions to our labor force." Porter moved suddenly, pulling his weapon. One of the other Voshier moved with impossible speed, striking him across the room. "Security breach. In meeting room A," Martinez shouted into her communicator, but there was no response. "Your communication systems are not functioning," Zarel said. "Please do not resist. It will only cause unnecessary pain." The ship shuddered. "We are being pulled toward their vessel," Wright said, looking at a backup terminal. Porter had managed to reach an emergency panel. He punched in a code, and suddenly, alarms blared. "Emergency systems activated in Section 4. A computer voice announced. "Get to the shuttles," Porter shouted, drawing the Voshier's attention. Martinez grabbed Garcia's arm and pulled her toward the door while Porter created a distraction. Wright wasn't as fortunate. Two Voshier grabbed him as he tried to. "Follow Daniel," Martinez called. "Go," Wright shouted back as he struggled. "Warn Earth." The next 15 minutes were chaos. Martinez led as many crew members as she could find to the shuttle bay. The Voshier were taking control of the ship deck by deck. Only half the crew made it to the shuttles. As they launched, Martinez watched through the viewport as the Discovery was pulled between the alien vessels. There was a flash of bright light, and all three ships vanished. The damaged shuttles limped toward Mars, their engines struggling to maintain power. In her shuttle, Martinez stared at the empty space where her ship and missing crew members had been. Her hands clenched into fists and her jaw tightened. "Commander?" Garcia asked quietly. "What do we do now?" Martinez turned to face the survivors. Her eyes were hard with determination. "First, we get to Mars. Then we warn Earth. And then..." She paused, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "We get our people back. This isn't over." She looked back toward the stars where the Discovery had vanished. "Now it's personal." 6 months had passed since the Discovery disappeared. Olivia Martinez stared at her reflection in a cracked mirror. Her face was thinner now, with dark circles under her eyes. She had lost weight and gained scars, both inside and out. The small room she used as an office was inside an abandoned mining facility on Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The walls were bare metal and the air smelled of dust and machine oil. Someone knocked on the door. "Come in," Martinez said. Susan Garcia entered, carrying a tablet. She too looked different than she had aboard the Discovery. Her once neat uniform was replaced by mismatched civilian clothes. A fresh scar ran along her right cheek. "They're calling you a liar," Garcia said without greeting. She handed the tablet to Martinez. "The news says you made up the alien story to cover for an accident." Martinez looked at the screen. It showed an official from Earth government speaking to reporters. "Commander Martinez's claims of hostile aliens are unfounded. No evidence supports these wild accusations." She tossed the tablet onto her desk. "Of course they don't believe us. That would mean admitting they can't protect Earth." "There's more," Garcia said. "The Voshier have made official contact with the United Earth Council. They're calling themselves peaceful explorers offering advanced technology." Martinez slammed her fist on the desk. "While they're taking our people from the outer colonies, how many ships have gone missing now?" 12, said a deep voice from the doorway. Kevin Porter entered, his left arm now a mechanical replacement after being injured during their escape. 12 ships gone in 6 months, all explained away as accidents or pirate attacks." Martinez stood up. Any word from our new contacts? Porter nodded. They're here. Meeting room. Martinez followed Porter through narrow corridors to a larger room that had once been a mess hall. 3 people waited there, all looking nervous but determined. Commander Martinez, Porter said formally. Meet Dr. Angela Wilson, former exobiologist at Europa Research Station. Dr. Wilson was a short woman with curly brown hair. She stepped forward and shook Martinez's hand firmly. Commander, I've studied the biological data the Voshir have provided Earth scientists. There are inconsistencies that nobody wants to acknowledge. Porter continued. This is Jason Lee, former Special Forces. Lee was a compact man with hard eyes. He merely nodded at Martinez. My sister was on the UES Horizon when it disappeared near Neptune 2 months ago. The official report said it was a drive malfunction. She sent me a personal message before they vanished. They had spotted a Voshir ship. And this, Porter finished, is Catherine Brown. A young woman with bright red hair and a face full of freckles gave a small wave. I'm good with computers, very good. I intercepted some encrypted Voshir communications. You need to see what they're really saying to each other. Martinez looked at the 3 newcomers. Welcome to the Resistance. It's not much yet, but it's growing. She turned to a makeshift map on the wall showing the solar system. Red marks indicated where ships and colonies had gone missing. The Voshir are playing a long game, she explained. They present themselves as friends while quietly taking humans from remote outposts. We think they're using them for experiments. They are, said a raspy voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned. A thin man with hollow eyes stood in the shadows. His body trembled slightly, and scars covered his visible skin. Martinez's eyes widened. Daniel? Daniel Wright stepped forward. His once neat appearance was gone. His hair had grown long and uneven. Strange metallic implants were visible at his temples and along his jawline. We found him on Charon during the raid last week, Porter explained. He was in a hidden Voshir facility with other test subjects. Martinez rushed to Wright and embraced him carefully. He flinched at the contact but didn't pull away. What did they do to you? She whispered. Tested our limits, Wright replied, his voice rough from disuse. Physical, mental. They view us as livestock. Advanced enough to be useful, primitive enough to be expendable. He looked up at the group with haunted eyes. They've done this to dozens of species across multiple star systems. Dr. Wilson approached Wright. These implants, are they controlling you? Wright shook his head. Monitoring. They track vital signs, brain activity. The Voshir want to understand how humans function under stress. Catherine Brown joined them, studying Wright's implants with fascination. I might be able to hack these. If they transmit data, they can receive it too. First things first, Martinez said. Daniel, what can you tell us about their plans? Wright sat heavily in a chair. They're playing both sides, appearing peaceful to Earth governments while setting up outposts throughout the system. They've infiltrated Earth's defense networks. They're introducing medical treatments that actually implant monitoring devices. He closed his eyes briefly. They're preparing for full invasion. They just need to finish mapping our defenses. Martinez turned to the others. This is why we need all of you. Dr. Wilson, your biological expertise could help us understand Voshir weaknesses. Jason, we need your combat experience. Catherine, their technology is our biggest disadvantage. We need to level the playing field. Catherine nodded eagerly. I've already made progress with their encryption, and I've intercepted something big. The Voshir are sending a delegation to address the United Earth Council next week. Perfect opportunity, Porter said grimly. If we could expose them publicly, that's exactly what we'll do, Martinez agreed. Catherine, can you hack into the Council's broadcast system? Give me 3 days and access to their network. Martinez looked around the room at her growing team. This won't be easy. The Voshir are technologically superior and have positioned themselves as humanity's benefactors. Earth governments want to believe that, and they've branded us as conspirators and troublemakers. But we have something they don't, Wright said softly. Everyone turned to him. We know what we're fighting for. He pulled up his sleeve to reveal more implants running along his arm, and I brought back something else. A Vosheer parasite they use to control other species. Dr. Wilson might find it useful. Martinez nodded. 1 week. We have 1 week to prepare before the Vosheer address the council. We'll show Earth the truth, even if they don't want to see it. Jason Lee spoke up for the first time. And if we fail? Martinez looked him directly in the eyes. Then we keep fighting anyway. The Vosheer think they understand humans from their experiments and observations, but they've never seen what humans do when pushed too far. Her voice hardened. They have no idea what "now it's personal" truly means. She turned to Wright and gently touched his shoulder. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start planning the operation. As the others filed out, Martinez stayed behind and looked again at the map with its spreading pattern of red marks. The Vosheer thought they were being clever, moving slowly and carefully. But they had made a crucial mistake. They had taken her crew, her ship, her friend, and they would soon learn what happened when humans decided that a fight wasn't just about survival anymore, but about justice. The plan did not go as hoped. The Vosheer were 1 step ahead. When Martinez and her team tried to broadcast the truth during the United Earth Council meeting, the aliens were ready. They blocked the transmission and used the attempt as proof that dangerous extremists were spreading lies about them. Within hours, the Vosheer revealed their true intentions. They activated sleeper agents in Earth's military, disabled defense satellites, and launched their invasion. 3 months later, Martinez stood on a hill overlooking what used to be Chicago. The city was now a processing center where the Vosheer sorted humans based on their usefulness. Large dome-like structures covered much of the downtown area. Strange alien ships patrolled the skies. Hard to believe they took Earth so quickly, Kevin Porter said, standing beside her. His mechanical arm had been upgraded with salvaged Vosheer technology, giving him increased strength. They had years to prepare, Martinez replied. While we explored space, they studied us. They knew exactly where to strike and when. Catherine Brown joined them, her red hair now cut short and dyed black for disguise. The resistance network is growing. We have cells in every remaining human settlement, both on Earth and throughout the system. Martinez nodded. What's our status? Not good, Porter admitted. We're outgunned and outnumbered. The Vosheer technology is too advanced for direct confrontation. But we have some advantages, Catherine added. They can't track our old-style radio communications, and they don't understand human determination. Martinez turned away from the view of occupied Chicago. Let's get back to base. Daniel and Dr. A. Wilson have news. Their base was an old underground train maintenance facility. The resistance had spent weeks making it habitable and secure. As they entered, Martinez saw dozens of people working on different tasks. Some were modifying weapons, others were treating the wounded. The resistance had named themselves the Terran Reclamation Front, or TRF. Daniel Wright and Dr. Angela Wilson waited in what they called the lab, a cleared space with tables of equipment, both human and Vosheer. Wright's condition had improved, somewhat, though the alien implants remained embedded in his skin. We found something, Dr. Wilson said as they approached. She held up a clear container with a yellow powder. The Vosheer have a weakness. Their respiratory system is hypersensitive to a specific pollen found in genetically modified Earth wheat, Wright explained. Not lethal, but severely debilitating to them. Hope flickered in Martinez's eyes. Can we weaponize it? Already working on it, Wilson replied. We can create an airborne version that could temporarily incapacitate Vosheer in an enclosed space. Jason Lee entered the lab. His face was dirty and he looked tired, but his eyes were bright with excitement. The mission was successful, he announced. We infiltrated a Vosheer command ship in orbit, lost 3 good people, but we got the data. Catherine immediately took the small device Lee offered and connected it to her computer. This could give us their complete battle plans, communication codes, everything. As Catherine worked, Martinez noticed something strange about Wright. He was staring at the Vosheer device with unusual intensity, and the implants at his temples were glowing faintly. Daniel? She asked carefully. Are you okay? Wright blinked rapidly. I could feel it. The device. It's like the implants are trying to connect to it. Dr. Wilson looked concerned. The Voshir technology in your body is changing, adapting. It's integrating with your nervous system in ways I don't fully understand. Before they could discuss this further, Catherine let out a surprised laugh. I've got it. Their encryption was complex but not impossible. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. The Voshir fleet isn't as large as they wanted us to believe. Most of their forces are automated or controlled by enslaved species. And look at this, she continued, pointing to her screen. They're stretched thin across multiple conquered worlds. Earth wasn't their only target. Martinez leaned over Catherine's shoulder. Can you find anything about their central command structure? That's the strange part, Catherine replied. Their individual ships seem to have limited decision-making capability. They receive orders from somewhere outside our solar system. Wright moved closer, drawn to the screen. It's the hive mind, he said quietly. When they had me captive, I could sometimes sense it, a vast intelligence directing everything. The individual Voshir are just drones. Martinez processed this information. So disrupting their connection to this hive mind would throw them into disarray? Potentially, Wright agreed. But they have fail-safes. Local command nodes can take over if communication is lost. Martinez began to pace, thinking hard. We can't match their technology and we can't match their numbers, but maybe we don't have to. She turned to face her team. What if we change how we fight? What do you mean? Porter asked. The Voshir see warfare as a mathematical equation, Martinez explained. They expect specific responses to their actions. They analyze patterns and predict outcomes. So let's be unpredictable. She walked to a map of North America marked with Voshir strongholds. Instead of trying to defeat them militarily, we use what humans have always been good at, adapting and surprising our enemies. Over the next few weeks, Martinez's strategy began to take shape. The TRF focused on 3 approaches. First, they used Dr. Wilson's pollen compound to disrupt Voshir operations. Resistance cells released it into ventilation systems of alien facilities, causing temporary but effective chaos. Second, rather than destroying captured Voshir drone workers, they used Catherine's growing understanding of alien technology to reprogram them. These turned drones became confused assets that disrupted Voshir operations from within. Third, and most effectively, they employed psychological warfare. The Voshir expected humans to attack critical targets and defend population centers. Instead, the resistance struck random locations, disappeared before counterattacks arrived, and left behind messages in Voshir language. Now it's personal. At first, the aliens did not understand the significance of this phrase. Their translation systems rendered it literally, missing the emotional impact. But as weeks turned into months, and the unpredictable attacks continued, the Voshir command structure showed signs of confusion. Jason Lee returned from a raid with an unexpected prize, a captured Voshir commander. It was the first time they had taken one alive. The alien was kept in a secure room. It resembled the others of its kind, tall, four-armed, with iridescent skin that shifted colors with its mood. Currently, the skin showed dark purple, which they had learned indicated distress. Martinez entered the room alone. The Voshir looked up at her. "You fight illogically," it said in a voice that sounded almost musical despite the harsh words. "Your tactics defy strategic analysis." "That's because you don't understand what drives us," Martinez replied. "We have studied humans extensively," the Voshir insisted. "Your physical capabilities, societal structures, technological development, all have been cataloged and analyzed." Martinez smiled slightly. "But you miss something important about us. When we say now it's personal, it means we're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting because you've made us angry. And humans fight differently when we're angry." The Voshir's skin flickered with blue spots, a sign of confusion or surprise. Emotion should not enhance combat. Effectiveness, it should reduce it. "That's where you're wrong," Martinez said quietly. "For humans, it's the opposite. And that's why you'll never truly understand us. That's why you'll lose this war. As she left the room, Martinez felt a renewed sense of purpose. The Voshir might have superior technology and numbers, but they had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, the ability to become more dangerous, not less, when threatened. And somewhere out in space, the hive mind was beginning to realize its mistake. 6 months into the occupation, the Voshir began to worry. Their reports to the hive mind showed increasing problems across Earth and the solar system colonies. In Brazil, farmers who knew the rainforest well would attack Voshir patrols and then vanish into the thick trees. The aliens would send more forces, but the humans were never there when they arrived. In Japan, engineers found ways to turn everyday technology into devices that confused Voshir communications. The aliens would fix one problem only to find 3 more appearing elsewhere. In Kenya, doctors discovered plants that could hide human body heat from Voshir scanners. Resistance fighters could now move around without being detected. The Voshir commander that Martinez had captured was now helping the resistance. Its name was Zrel, the same Voshir who had first come aboard the Discovery. After weeks of talking with humans and seeing how they fought, Zrel began to question the hive mind's plans. "Your species is unlike any we have encountered," Zrel told Martinez during one of their meetings. The hive mind calculated a 97% chance of complete human submission within 1 Earth year. That calculation was wrong. Martinez sat across from the alien. She no longer saw Zrel as a monster, but as a victim of the hive mind's control. Why does the hive mind want Earth? Resources, test subjects, new genetic material to incorporate into the collective, Zrel explained. But mainly because you are dangerous. Dangerous. You had better ships, better weapons, better technology, Martinez argued. Zrel's skin rippled with colors. Not dangerous now, dangerous in the future. The hive mind project's outcomes centuries ahead. Human innovation rates exceed all known species. If left alone, you would eventually challenge the collective. Martinez understood. So they attacked us before we could become a real threat. Yes. But they did not account for your response, Zrel admitted. Most species become less effective when their organized military is defeated. Humans become more effective. The hive mind does not understand why. Martinez smiled slightly. Because we take it personally. That evening, Martinez called her leadership team together. Catherine Brown had big news. "I found a pattern in the Voshir communication network," she said excitedly. "Every 31 hours, they send a massive data burst to somewhere beyond Jupiter. I think it's how they report to the hive mind." "Can we intercept it?" Porter asked. Catherine nodded. "Better than that. I think we can insert our own data. Send the hive mind what we want it to see." Daniel Wright's voice came from the doorway. "We can do more than that." Everyone turned. Wright looked different. The implants in his skin now formed patterns that almost seemed to glow under his skin. His eyes had a strange light to them. "Daniel?" Martinez stood up, concerned. "Are you okay?" "Better than okay," Wright said. "I've been working with Dr. Wilson. The Voshir technology in my body, it's not just monitoring anymore. It's evolving, integrating with me." He held up his arm, where the metallic lines under his skin formed complex circuits. "And I can control it now." Dr. Wilson entered behind him. "It's remarkable. The implants were designed to gather data about humans, but Daniel's body has adapted to them, changed them. He can now interact with Voshir systems in ways they never expected." "What does this mean for us?" Martinez asked. Wright looked at Catherine. "It means if you can get me access to their communication network during the next data burst, I can do more than send false information. I can connect directly to the hive mind." A plan formed quickly. They would need to infiltrate a major Voshir communication hub to access the network. The risks were enormous, but so was the potential reward. Jason Lee led the tactical planning. "We'll need 3 teams. Team 1 creates a distraction here." He pointed to a location on their map. Team 2, led by Porter, secures an escape route. Team 3, that's Martinez, Catherine, Wright, and me, goes for the communication hub. 2 days later, they put the plan into action. The distraction team released Dr. Wilson's pollen compound near a Vaushir processing center, causing chaos as the aliens struggled to breathe. Alarms sounded throughout the nearby Vaushir facilities. Martinez's team moved quickly through underground tunnels that the aliens didn't know existed. Old maintenance passageways led them directly beneath the communication hub. Security is lighter than expected, Lee whispered as they emerged into the facility. The distraction worked. They encountered only 2 Vaushir guards, which Lee and Martinez quickly subdued using weapons designed by Dr. Wilson that released small doses of the pollen compound. Catherine found the main terminal room. "I need 3 minutes," she said, connecting her equipment to the alien technology. Wright stood nearby, his implants glowing more brightly now. He seemed to be in pain, but he waved away Martinez's concern. "I can feel the network," he whispered. "It's fast," Catherine nodded to Wright. "We're in." The data burst starts in 30 seconds. Wright placed his hands on the alien console. The patterns under his skin pulsed in rhythm with the lights on the Vaushir equipment. His body went rigid, and his eyes rolled back. "Daniel." Martinez moved toward him, but Catherine held her back. "Don't break the connection," she warned. For 5 long minutes, Wright remained connected to the system. The lights in the facility flickered. Strange sounds came from the equipment. Then, Wright collapsed. Martinez and Lee caught him before he hit the floor. "Did it work?" Martinez asked as Wright's eyes fluttered open. Wright smiled weakly. "It worked. I got through to the hive mind. I showed it everything. What it feels like to be human, to have our world invaded, to lose friends and family." He took a shuddering breath. "I showed it what 'now it's personal' really means." "And?" Martinez helped him stand. It was confused, frightened even. The hive mind has no concept of individual emotion. It experiences everything as data, patterns, probabilities. Wright looked at his hands, where the implants were now pulsing with a steady light. But now it knows, and it's afraid. Alarms began to sound. "We need to move," Lee urged. "Now." They escaped as Vaushir forces rushed into the facility. Back at their base, they monitored alien communications with Catherine's equipment. "Something's happening," she reported. "Their communication patterns are changing. Some Vaushir units have stopped receiving orders. Others are getting conflicting commands." Porter looked at the tactical display showing Vaushir positions around the globe. "They're disorganized. Some units are even pulling back from their positions." Martinez turned to Wright, who was being examined by Dr. Wilson. "What exactly did you do to the hive mind?" Wright looked up with tired eyes. "I infected it with humanity, our emotions, our determination, our personal connections." He managed a small smile. "And I left it a message it would understand. In its own language patterns, I told it, 'This is just the beginning, now it's personal.'" For the first time since the invasion began, Martinez felt real hope. The Vaushir might have superior technology and numbers, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity before. An enemy that grew stronger, not weaker, when pushed to the edge. The hive mind was learning a lesson that countless human adversaries throughout history had learned too late. Never corner someone who has nothing left to lose. Because that's when humans stop fighting for survival and start fighting for justice. That's when it becomes personal. The confusion among the Vaushir lasted for 2 weeks. During this time, the resistance made great progress. They freed thousands of humans from processing centers. They captured alien technology and weapons. Every success made the resistance stronger and gave people hope. But then the Vaushir adapted. The hive mind sent new orders. The aliens began to fight differently, trying to copy human unpredictability. They attacked resistance bases that had been safe before. It was clear that the war was entering a new phase. Martinez stood in the command center of their newest base, an old military bunker in the mountains. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing the positions of both human and alien forces. "They're learning," Porter said, pointing to reports of recent Vaushir attacks. "They're using our own tactics against us." Catherine nodded grimly. "The hive mind is adapting to what Daniel showed it. It's trying to understand human emotions by mimicking them. Wright sat quietly in the corner. The implants under his skin now formed beautiful, complex patterns across his body. Sometimes they glowed with soft light. Sometimes they were dark. He looked tired but focused. "There's something else," Martinez said. "Our deep space monitors picked up energy readings beyond Neptune. Something big is coming." Jason Lee zoomed in on the readings. "More Vosheer ships?" "A lot more," Martinez confirmed. "This looks like their main fleet. What we fought before was just their advance force." The room went silent as everyone understood what this meant. Earth had barely survived the first invasion. They couldn't hope to defeat a larger force. Dr. Wilson spoke up. "We need to act before they arrive. We have an advantage now that might not last." "What advantage?" Porter asked. "Daniel," Wilson said simply, looking at Wright. "His connection to their technology is growing stronger. And I've been studying the Vosheer biology. Their entire species is connected to the hive mind through technology similar to Daniel's implants." Wright nodded slowly. "I can feel it more clearly now. When I connected to the hive mind before, I showed it human emotions. But I also learned about it. The hive mind isn't a computer, it's organic. It's made from the combined brain tissue of hundreds of conquered species." Martinez looked shocked. "You mean it's made from actual brains?" "Yes," Wright said. "The first species, the Vosheer, conquered thousands of years ago. They take the most intelligent members of each species they defeat and add them to the collective. It's how they process and store all their knowledge." Catherine's eyes widened with understanding. "That's why it was confused by what you showed, it. The hive mind has the capacity for emotion because it's made from beings that once had emotions. And that's our opportunity," Wright said, standing up. "If I can connect to it again, more deeply this time, I might be able to awaken those suppressed emotions, remind the parts of the hive mind that were once individual beings what it means to be free." Martinez considered this. "How would we even get close enough? You needed direct access to their communication network last time." Wright pointed to his implants. "These have changed. They're not just receivers anymore. They can broadcast. But I would need to be much closer to the hive mind than I am now." "How close?" Lee asked. "The main fleet that's coming," Wright replied. "The hive mind will have a direct presence there, a physical component to coordinate such a large force." Martinez looked at her team. "So we need to get Daniel onto the Vosheer command ship when it arrives." She didn't need to say how dangerous that would be. Over the next 2 weeks they prepared. Catherine and Dr. Wilson worked with Wright to enhance his implants, increasing their power and range. Porter and Lee trained a special team for the space mission. Martinez coordinated with resistance cells around the world, preparing for what might be their last stand. Zarel, the captured Vosheer commander who had been helping them, provided critical information about the layout of Vosheer command ships and their security systems. "The hive mind will be housed in a special chamber at the center of the main vessel," Zarel explained. "It is always guarded by elite warriors who have additional neural links to the collective." "Will it know we're coming?" Martinez asked. "Yes," Zarel said simply. "But knowing and understanding are different things. The hive mind still cannot fully comprehend human determination." The day arrived. The Vosheer fleet entered the solar system. 15 massive ships, each many times larger than those in the first invasion. They moved into position around Earth, ignoring the small human vessels that posed no threat to them. The resistance plan was in motion. While the Vosheer focused on their invasion preparations, a small, modified shuttle approached the main command ship. Inside were Martinez, Wright, Lee, and a small team of their best fighters. Using Zarel's access codes, they docked in a little-used maintenance bay. They moved quickly through the ship's corridors, avoiding patrols when possible, fighting silently when necessary. "This way," Wright whispered, following the pull of his implants toward the center of the ship. They encountered more resistance as they got closer to the hive mind chamber. Lee and his team fought bravely, holding corridors to allow Martinez and Wright to continue forward. Finally, they reached a massive door guarded by 6 elite Vosheer warriors. Unlike the others, These had visible implants similar to Wright's. I can't fight all of them, Martinez said, counting their remaining weapons. Wright placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to. His implants glowed brightly, and he stepped forward toward the guards. To Martinez's amazement, the guards paused, their own implants responding to Wright's signal. They looked confused, then stepped aside. How did you do that? She asked as they passed. I spoke to the human parts of the hive mind that control them, Wright explained. I reminded them what freedom feels like. They entered a vast chamber. In the center stood a large glowing structure that looked partly mechanical, partly biological. Floating within a clear tank was something that resembled a massive brain, but with parts that were clearly from different species. The physical hub of the hive mind, Wright said quietly, connected to all Voshir across their empire. Martinez stood guard at the door while Wright approached the tank. He placed his hands on the surface, and his implants glowed brighter than ever before. His body shook with effort. I'm connecting to all of it, he said, his voice strained. Not just showing it emotions this time. I'm awakening the suppressed consciousness of every being they've absorbed. The ship trembled. Alarms sounded. The liquid in the tank began to swirl with colors. Daniel, Martinez called out, worried for her friend. It's working, Wright gasped. They're remembering all the species the Voshir conquered over thousands of years. They're remembering who they were before. Through the windows, Martinez could see the other Voshir ships moving erratically. Some were firing weapons randomly. Others were completely dark. Wright pulled his hands away from the tank and stumbled back. Martinez caught him. Did it work? She asked. Wright smiled weakly. Yes. I reminded them what it means to be an individual. What it means to have your own thoughts. Your own feelings. He looked up at the tank, where the brain-like structure was pulsing with light. And I showed them what humans do when something becomes personal. As they made their way back to their shuttle, they saw Voshir drones standing motionless or wandering, in confusion. Without the hive mind's control, they didn't know what to do. When they returned to Earth, they found similar reports from around the world. The Voshir invasion had collapsed. Many of the aliens had simply shut down. Others seemed to be regaining individual thought for the first time. 1 month later, Martinez stood with her team watching the sunrise over a recovering Earth. Cities were being rebuilt. The captured Voshir technology was helping to advance human science by decades. What happens now? Porter asked. We rebuild, Martinez said. And we reach out to the stars. There are other species out there who were controlled by the Voshir. They'll need help too. Wright stood nearby, his implants now a permanent part of him. The hive mind wasn't destroyed, he said. It was transformed. The collected consciousness of hundreds of species, now free to think for themselves again. Martinez nodded. The Voshir never understood what they were dealing with when they attacked us. They thought studying our biology and technology was enough. She smiled at her friends. They never figured out that the true strength of humanity isn't in our bodies or our machines. It's what happens when we decide something is personal, Susan Garcia finished for her. As the sun rose higher, lighting up a world forever changed. But now free again, Martinez thought about all they had lost and all they had gained. The aliens had come looking for test subjects and found instead a lesson about what makes humans different from any species they had encountered before. They had learned what happens after humans say, now it's personal,